supposed to switch this on as well. Is that right? Excuse me, I'm not a very technical person. Is that what I should do?
Yeah, yes.
Then you don't need me to speak. Use the microphone, which is great. Hey. Okay, well, could I have the first slide? Interesting colour scheme. I just thought I'd give a quick introduction to what I see as the issues, and I will try and be quick, because I think it's really important. I mean, one of the things that really struck me when I was working on a transition town group in West Hampstead that folded was the fact that we need a lot of skills, knowledge and skills really to develop those things in order to be able to manage these projects, because a lot of the people who came that wanted to grow food had never tried to grow anything in their lives before, and they were very enthusiastic, but they were working full time and they really didn't have the capacity to manage any of this stuff. And I'm really worried about people getting terribly discouraged and giving up as well. But the trouble is that the industrial food system wants to make us dependent, so it's constantly working to do that, and it's de-skilling us all the time. And not just us, but farmers as well are being de-skilled. So that's a major problem, and I'll come on to that a bit later. Can I have the next one? So yes, I tried to put that in red. It turns an interesting colour when it's but the destruction of biodiversity is totally deliberate, and it's very interesting because I was recently in India at this Convention on Biological Diversity, and they were saying that they used to have loads of kinds of cotton that had colours in them, and all sorts of other interesting things about cotton. And now the companies, having destroyed most of the varieties so people can't get anything else, are saying, oh, we'll make coloured cotton for you now. So they're always promising to provide what was there before. And it's really interesting to see too, we're losing a huge range of varieties, and I mean, we've lost a lot of pig breeds. We've got the wrong kind of cattle breeds, and we need to recover the old ones that we had. We've got thousands of kinds of apples in this country, yet you only ever see 6 in the supermarket. And then pesticides and fertilizers really do destroy the life of the soil, and they kill earthworms and the mycorrhizae, which are the essential fungi which mediate nutrients to the roots of the plants. So it's all part of a system, but they are destroying the mycorrhizae, which are incredibly important. And it's fascinating to me that herbicides like glyphosate actually lock up nutrients so that plants can't get to them. So not only are they doing all sorts of other damage, but they're also locking up nutrients. And fertilizers are also reducing the nutrient levels in our food. And thereby you have unhealthy soil with low nutrients, you get unhealthy animals, and you get unhealthy humans with low levels of nutrients. The levels of nutrients in our vegetables between 1940 and 1979 or something, till DEFRA stopped recording it, had dropped by very large percentages. I can't remember offhand, but I've got the records of the data. Look at the thirst of industrial agriculture. It sucks up water in the most incredible way. And it's fossil. I mean, it's fossil in all senses of one. It's totally dependent on fossil fuel. The production of fertilizers, the production of pesticides is totally dependent on it. The machinery that they are projecting that we should use for sustainable intensification is all fossil-based and massive. And this is their idea, the industrial agriculture's idea of intensification, is those machines as big as houses, which they use in Argentina. And it's a major cause of climate change. But what we also have to remember is that far from being innovative in any kind of way, it's out of date. It's finished, its time is over. Next slide, please. I found this fascinating. There was a video that's just come out from Greenpeace. You may or may not know that the EC is being asked to approve 26 varieties of GM crops as soon as they can. I have to be honest with you and say that I did not realise that the onslaught was quite as fearsome as that. These are the conventional ones. They're not the new ones. They are the Roundup Ready ones. 19 of them are tolerant to herbicides. The thing is that the companies, having failed, since they're facing failure in the United States with tolerant weeds, and in Argentina and so forth, they're looking for the new markets. So they're looking to move into Africa and into Europe, where they have not been nearly so prominent as they would like to be. So it's a major problem. So look what they say. At first it all seemed to make it so easy. Oh yes, we've all been drawn down that path. Convenience food and convenience seed. Because it does seem to work at first. Because the herbicide works as they say it will, before the tolerant weeds start to emerge and all the other problems, before you kill the soil with the fertilizer, with the herbicide. I thought that was a telling. We didn't realise we were giving up our power, said one farmer. We've lost control of farming and we are economically dependent. And we have very little choice. That's the other thing that happens. When they come in with BT cotton or with soy seed, they wipe out the varieties. It's not for nothing either that Monsanto has been buying up seed companies all these years, which means that it gets control of all the varieties, the other varieties of seed which farmers would like to use. And it also de-skills farmers, because if they use herbicide all the time, people used to know how to farm soy so that they didn't have such problems with it. But they've lost those skills, so they've lost the skills as well. So one farmer actually said, if I could grow non-GM crops as I did before, I would, but I can't get those seeds anymore. And that's pretty deadly, because without the seeds, what are we supposed to do? Of course, that promises new seeds as well as everything else. But there's still seed left, but we have to act. We have to act now. Next seed. We keep being told the same thing. You see this 9 billion people mantra. We have to double production. And we need, all want to eat better food, which means meat, basically. And convenience food, because they'll all be too busy to prepare food, too busy to grow food, all this sort of stuff. And so we'll need more of the same at the factory farms, which you're going to speak about later. And it's a treadmill. It really is a treadmill. You just go on round and round and round. They know that their herbicides are failing. Now they're wanting to use dicamba and 2,4-D where glyphosate is failing. So they're happy with the treadmill. And so it goes on. Next slide, please. I've learned from Julia Wright, who works at Coventry, who was part of the Henry Doubleday Research Association. She came and presented to the GM Freeze recently. And the latest figures seem to be that the world produces not just 4,600 calories a day, but per head. So we are producing enough food for 2 people, for every one of us that currently lives on the planet. So we've got enough food being produced for 14 billion people. So we've got 1 billion underfed, and we've got 1.6 billion overfed. Well, there's different ways to put this. Some of these people are eating food with no nutrients, so they need more nutrients. So one shouldn't, it's a complicated issue, overeating. But 40% of food is wasted or lost. It's lost on farms, it's lost on its way to the processors, it's lost because people can't store their food properly. And people in Africa have been saying this to us for years. We need the right infrastructure that works inside Africa, not infrastructure that goes straight to the ports and out, which is what's being planned at the moment. So, and then this was the thing from The Guardian. UK families waste £217 a year on discarded food. Well, people do waste a lot of food. Why do they waste it is something that we have to look at. Why did they buy it in the first place? What's wrong with the food that they're wasting it, and so on. This is a whole topic in itself. So could I have the next? I just thought I'd talk very briefly about this, but we're going to have 2 people talking about these afterwards. What I want to say is that they're tied up together, the livestock and the biofuels issue. Livestock's figures are extraordinary. I mean, maybe we shouldn't pause on those, but they staggered me. I hadn't quite realised how, if you include pasture and land for feed, it's 80% of total agricultural land, which is extraordinary. And I think that came from FAO. So, and 1/3 of total arable land is used for feed crops. That is just for animal feed crops at the moment. But then, of course, we'll have feed for energy as well, which we're building up enormously. And if you see the amount of feed required for livestock weight gain, it's a disgusting expression. It's like treating them as machines, livestock weight gain. But cattle need a lot, 6 to 1. It's fine if they eat grass, but not if they're eating food that humans could eat. With biofuels, again, we're seeing this emerging now. It's still emerging. We've got huge amounts of land grab going on for biofuels, and particularly in Africa, and that's a really serious issue also for people who work on African issues. Mozambique, they've got these huge projects to industrialize agriculture in Mozambique. 3 what they call agricultural growth corridors, and 3 more. And obviously Mozambique is popular because it's got lots of water. But what happens to the 2 million just in one area alone? People who are small farmers who use shifting cultivation, because that's what's suited to the land at the moment. And the other thing is biomass is so much worse. I mean, biomass, as I'm sure you'll hear more later, is just incredible. And only this morning I heard on stupid old Radio 4 somebody saying, oh well, wind farms are no good, but biomass, that's great. And it's like, we've been telling people, all of us have been telling them for years that biomass is not the way, but they continue down that path. Next slide, please. Just quickly, I mean, it is extraordinary. I think the third one is the most interesting. When I was doing the GM Nation debates, I bought some Walker's crisps. I don't usually eat them, but I couldn't get anything else. And, you know, I love salty hot things if I can get them, so I have to keep them out of the house. I was wondering, why am I doing this, right? I was literally, and I was watching myself and thinking, I'm eating in an extraordinary way. They've done research to find out how to make you do that. Which bits of the tongue you have to go for to get people to eat in that way. It's extraordinary the amount of research they do on the tongue and on flavours and how to keep us addicted. And fructose, which is an awful lot of things, bypasses the body's satiating signals. You don't know you've had enough if you have a lot of fructose. So you can see how people are not in control, and that's the very idea, we should not be in control. So you have overconsumption, weight gain, and insulin resistance. We all know that there are millions of new diabetics every year. Next slide. So how do we get out of the trap? I think we all know, we're beginning, all of us, to experiment with this. This is the amazing and encouraging thing, and all over the world it's the same. La Via Campesina, the peasant organisation, they're working on it too. We need access to land. But we have to have local food production and consumption, and we have to try and develop economies that keep the money in the local economy, so that the people who need the money, the people who need to buy it, and the people who need to be paid for it can get it. And we need that diversity of complementary skills. In villages in the past, you used to have the wheelwright, the cart maker, the guy who would make the shoes for your horse, all those people, the people who would make the reins and the saddles and all that sort of thing. You need lots of complementary skills. We need those now. And we need people who really know about seed and who know how to deal with, who can help us to address climate change. The appalling summer we had this year that lost the whole hemp crop. You know, we're having extra pressures just at the point when we're most needed to take control. So that's what food sovereignty means. And if anyone's feeling discouraged, I'm not suggesting you come and look at it now, but I was given this poster, which is about kinds of Mexican corn. And it's just got so many different varieties. And basically, the attempt to wipe this out has been considerable. I mean, the semi-deliberate contamination with GM and so forth has been going on for many years, as some of you probably know. But there are many different kinds of corn for different purposes on this poster, and they're still there. So a lot of it is still there, and we can still work for them. So thanks very much.